My name is Brad Wavra. I'm with LiveNation Touring, based in Los Angeles, and we're sitting in our conference room at our Beverly Hills address. LiveNation is the largest concert promoting company in the entire world. We have offices in 20 countries. We've got thousands of employees, and we produce over 28,000 concert events around the world. I'm a senior vice president of the touring division, so my job is to go out and develop relationships with managers and artists for acts that we believe are strong enough to sell tickets on a tour-wide basis. A tour being, multiple dates, 20, 30, 40 dates in a touring cycle, and if we feel an artist has got that kind of capability, then it's to our advantage to be the promoter on all of those dates. So my job is to establish those relationships and figure out the business model that makes sense financially, and ultimately try to secure the artist to come play for LiveNation. The direct relationship is with the agent. They, in general, have the artist signed as clients, but ultimately the manager, is the center of power in that triangle between the agent, the promoter, and the manager. He's the one who's got the ultimate decision because he's in control of the supply chain, the artist's talent. So having a relationship with both is very effective. I'll tell you what, I chased the good artists and the bad artists chased us. That's kind of the defining moment there. It's not quite that black and white, but no. The good artists there, and then there's only a handful of great artists out there that can do 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 tickets in 40 cities across the country. Everybody knows who they are. They're historic artists, legendary artists. So when they're on a touring cycle, we all want to get them to come play for us. Then you've got the artists that would like to have the touring guys involved because they find it to be effective for them, a safe place for them, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a decision that then we make, whether we want to be in business with an artist that, I'm going to say a B and C level artist, one that can sell 6,000 and 7,000, 8,000 tickets, or do we hold out our skill set for the bigger artists that we know will sell 15,000 to 20,000 tickets. We own a full set of amphitheaters. I don't know the exact number, 30, 35, 36 amphitheaters. And then we also promote in nightclubs. We just bought the House of Blues, so we own all the House of Blues nightclubs across the country right now. We've got mid-sized venues around the country that are 5,000, 6,000 seaters, a variety of different names in a variety of different cities. Some of the Fillmores from the historic days of Bill Graham, we've got a few of those placed around the country, small amphitheaters. And then we have relationships with arenas, preferred relationships in some arenas that we have deals that incorporate us making a commitment to a minimum number of shows that we try to provide for them, provide them content, and then they reward us with a good business relationship. We've got 20 major offices around the United States, and inside every one of those offices are the best talent in the entertainment business as far as we're concerned. They're staffed with bookers and marketers and technical production people that execute these events on a daily basis. These are offices that were cultivated at the inception of basically the concert business as we know it now. They're from the legendary first promoters in America. Bill Graham's got an office in San Francisco. There's an office in, I'm talking about old days, Detroit's got Cellar Door, and Belkin Productions in Cleveland, and Delsner Productions in New York. These are the people that defined the business at the late 70s, early 70s, and these offices have been running ever since. These people were cultivated from the first promoters, if you want to call them such, the first promoters in America, and people have been working there ever since. We had a nightclub, I'm from Milwaukee, and we had a nightclub in Milwaukee back in the old days called the Stone Toad Nightclub. And this is where Bob Seger used to play club dates, and Taj Mahal and Climax Blues Band and those types of things. And when I was 17, I was a bartender in a 21-year-old club, and just loved the music. I loved the scene, and started handing out flyers and doing street marketing. And then one thing led to another. The company I worked for then bought a small theater, bought an amphitheater, and I just grew organically. I started doing flyering on cars at 2 a.m. in Milwaukee nightclubs, and eventually came to run an amphitheater, and from there, just one thing led to another. It wasn't planned. I studied economics University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire. Well, touring now is the primary income stream for many of these artists, so it's changed it dramatically. Before, touring was done to support the album release. I mean, it appeared that the artists were making most of their money from their album sales, back when it was vinyl and then 8-track CDs, etc. With the advent of the online stuff going on there and the file sharing and the peer-to-peer stuff, kids stopped buying the records, and the record companies didn't respond quick enough. They thought their model could be retained. It clearly hasn't been retained. Kids are finding different ways to find music. Radio airplay lists have changed dramatically. And now the concert business is the primary, probably the primary income stream for many of these artists. Going out on tour allows them to make the money that they used to make by selling the records. So it's now about the live experience as much as it is about the recorded event. Yeah, I see a business model being some kind of hybrid combination. I mean, LiveNation has explored that opportunity already. We worked a deal out with Jeff Quantnitz at the firm, the band Korn, and EMI Records. I didn't do the deal. I don't know all the particulars, but there is a relationship on Korn Incorporated, where each of us has a piece, and ultimately all the revenues from publishing and album sales and touring and merchandising all go into some big pot, and ultimately that divides itself up. So right now everybody making the decision in the Korn world is making a decision all on the same page. There's not we're not dealing with disconnected goals. The goal is to create the biggest image, the biggest pot of revenue for Korn, and it comes from a variety of sources. Club bands and garage bands will, again, I'll pretend to know the full process, but I'm going to surmise most of it, that, a band gets out there, they get together, they play in a garage, they play some gigs, they get some fans locally, they may lay a tape down, they send it out to agents, record company executives, anybody who's in the music business, hoping that somebody with a kind ear will listen to it more than once. And, record companies, everybody's looking for new talent, especially if they're good and exciting and cutting edge. So if the band's got that kind of groove, then somebody's going to find them. They're going to get signed to a label. The label's going to, recommend that they be associated with some kind of a manager, or some kind of an agent, some kind of a business manager, so they can put some sense to the to the creativity that defines a band. The business and the creative sense sometimes don't live hand in hand. So as the band is the artist, and that job is to be the most creative, most influential artist of their time, they should surround themselves with professionals that know how the business of music operates. And so there's a network of managers and lawyers and attorneys that work with each other, and ultimately they get signed to a bigger agency, and the bigger agencies will work with the record label and determine when to make that first big record and put that record into rotation, work the radio stations to get the airplay, and at some point in time in that process, they will want to go on tour in a proper way, whether it be a club tour, a theater tour, a small arena tour, a big arena tour. And that's when we would get involved at that point in time when they decide to tour. We've got a lot of agents or buyers in our company that work them from the 100-seat nightclubs to 300 to 500 to the 1,000-seat clubs to the theaters that will take them through that entire process. And at some point in time when the band is big enough, it'll end up in my lap, because I'm not that guy on the street down there, But we've got kids that have passion for their music and, want to bring these new bands to the fans, and so that's what they do all day. And they're the ones that really need to be applauded, because they're the ones that grow this business. Myself, the agent, and the manager, will say, okay, the record's coming out on X date, so we want to go on tour by Y. How many days a week can you play? 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off. We know we can travel X amount of miles between cities, so you say, where do you want to start? Where do you want to rehearse? Start here, California. Now, let's figure out where we can route ourselves that, will fit in the touring schedule, depending on how the artists perform, whether they're capable of doing two in a row, 3 in a row. Some guys can do 6 days in a row without resting their voice. Some can do a day on, have to have a day off. So all those things take into consideration on how you build a tour. The booking agent does a lot more than just, we collaborate. The booking agencies themselves have a wealth of knowledge bands of comparable size, genres. You know, they've got relationship with club owners, etc. They provide a great service to these artists. They get them private gigs, not just paid-for gigs. They get them relationships with corporate sponsors. I mean, they provide a great service to these bands, and you know, getting a band noticed, being signed to one of the major agencies, a William Morris or a CAA or an ICM or a Monterey, you know, it gets them some juice. It gets them noticed out there. So, being with an agent is a great thing for a band. Certainly, in the formative stages, you know, you're begging for opening act slots on major headliners' tours. Well, the agency that represents big bands like AC/DC and Madonna and Eric Clapton, they're more than likely going to have better knowledge and knowing how to reach that manager, that agent, to say, okay, what about my little band and my agent, you know, and at the same agency? How about you putting them on your show? They can get the music in front of the artist's hands. So the relationship between being a small act in a big agency and getting on a big tour, which helps you leapfrog your career along that much faster, is important to a band. That is the future of the music business, is mining that database, getting the database, keeping it active, keeping it fresh, and figuring out how to best to use it. People's listening habits and where they find their music has changed so dramatically now that the kids live on the internet. I mean, my kids, I got 3, 18, 15, and 12. They don't listen to radio, ever. But every day I come home and they tell me about a new band that they've heard, and where do you hear about this? And it's on those websites, the MySpace, the YouTubes, the peer-to-peer stuff. These kids talk about it between themselves. They go fishing out there, they find it, it's accessible to them, they listen to it, they pass it on to their friends. So for us, the internet is a great spot for developing and finding out and letting the artists bring their music to the people. It's certainly a great place for us to market effectively to artists, or to kids that we want to sell tickets to. You figure if a kid bought a ticket to AC/DC, he might be apt to think about Rush or Aerosmith or the Rolling Stones. So that's the kind of deal. When we talk about ticket pricing, we can go back to our database and figure out. I mean, these guys are brilliant that run our database division, because they can tell you, you know, basically how old the people were that bought the tickets in all the different age groups. Did they come by themselves? Did they come with a date? Did they come with their friends? Where did they buy their ticket? What would they be willing to pay? How would they prefer to see the artist perform, indoors or outdoors? I mean, just what kind of songs do they want the artist to play? I mean, it just becomes phenomenal, the kind of data that you can find from these lists, you know? And the kids want to interact. They want to participate in the process. So we find that when you ask them a question, many times they'll answer. It's very exciting. Be passionate about music. Figure out that you're not going to make any money. Just hang around. Be there. Be on the street. Be at the clubs. Find that kid that's spinning the music, that's got some vibe going on, you know, and just study. Go to school for it, you know. Learn about the business. I mean, you know, you can't just be a pot-smoking dopehead and figure out you're going to survive in the music business, you know. I'm going to say to you, you got to first go to school and get your head around what it takes to be in the business. And then you got to be passionate for it, because it's not an easy business to get into. So if you've got the passion and you've got the discipline and you're patient and you're persistent, you can succeed in this business. You know, that's really what it takes. Every manager, every agent, every band, they love a kid who's passionate about their band, their music. And that's, you know, that's where I find that we are most effective, is when you're marketing or working with somebody that you've got some passion for. So there are programs all over the place, you know. There's high school programs that deal in the music business. There's universities. Certainly there's some key universities that have got people out there. But a lot of it's just, you know, reaching out and be willing to come in and work. The message, like I said, the one thing I want to get across is people that want to get in this business, first of all, you're going to come into it, you're not going to get paid well. It's going to take you a long time to get yourself established. But that's the process, because you don't need part-timers. This is you're dealing with the life, the essence of a lot of these individuals out there when you're talking about their music. It's the way you communicate with the world. So if you're not committed, then find something else. But if you really love it, you can find a way. You just have to go do it. Commitment, full frickin' commitment. That's what I look for. You look in that artist's eyes and you want to know, are they committed to their craft? Are they willing to pay the price? Because if you're in it for the fluff, and you're in it for the girls, and you're in it for the dope, you are a dope, and you're going to end up, not succeeding. You've got to be passionate about your craft and be willing to put in the time. I've worked with many artists that, seem like they're doing it part-time. And it just bums me out because it seems like, if they really were committed to it, but their head's not into the game. And I look in the artists of those poor guys that really are committed to it and can't quite get it. So you've got to have that delicate balance between talent and commitment to the craft. Absolutely. I get paid for doing this every day. Are you kidding me? Is there a better job out there? I enjoy it. I enjoy the people I work with. I enjoy the good guys. I enjoy the bad guys. I enjoy being successful. I enjoy failing and wondering why, So every day is a different day. And you're dealing with crazy guys, smart guys, artistic guys, business guys. So you find that part of the business that you're most comfortable in. There's so much out there for you.